Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. It's a sunny Friday. You should be in a good mood. Everybody in the studio is in a good mood because Gordon Parks is here with us, smiling, ready to be opinionated and knowing he's getting a lift home from Ruffy before this show ends, which always puts him in a good mood.
But it does start at £3.80.
Yeah. Thank you to you for following us, and of course the feedback throughout the season. Your support has been absolutely immense, and over and above that, we give you the chance not only to enjoy all of our content free, but we are offering you a chance to sign up to PLZ Premium as well. And if you sign up to Premium, you'll get additional content, some exclusive stuff. You'll get discount on our shop. You'll also get the opportunity to get yourself a poster if you're part of the first 1,000. A Legends poster will be on its way to you. And we've got other great features for you within PLZ Premium. But our main core of content that you've been watching throughout the season, that remains absolutely free. So, with that in mind, lots to talk about. One man live waiting outside Ibrox is, of course, our reporter Blair Malloy. Blair was at the Rangers press conference today listening to the words of Barry Ferguson. Blair, first and foremost, Rangers fans getting ever excited. They've heard Dave King on TalkSport saying 90% probability now, getting close to a takeover for the summer.
Yes, good afternoon, Peter. It's a gloriously sunny day here at Ibrox. Not quite been so bright on the park recently. Rangers looking to put an end to 7 games without a win here at Ibrox against Aberdeen on Sunday. And it was pre-match of that game we were speaking to Barry Ferguson this afternoon. Of course, everything dominated in the headlines, like you say, this week by that takeover. And Rangers looking for perhaps brighter days ahead. Dave King coming out saying that it's 90% of the way there. So I think we can all safely assume that the American takeover will be happening here at Ibrox. But Barry Ferguson's message over the last wee while has been all about how things need to get moving, particularly quickly. The key date today that was spoken about is the 22nd of July. That is when Rangers will play their first Champions League qualifying game, and that is when things will have to be in motion by. One of the things that will definitely be on the lips of all supporters and on the minds of everyone round about Ibrox here is who they can bring in the summer. And you'd have to think that with Kevin Thelwell in the door already, that will already, the wheels be in motion for who might join here at Ibrox for this revolution. Barry was asked about that this afternoon. He's asked about his relationship with Kevin Thelwell, whether he was having an input into this particular list that may be drawn up of targets. He said, quite surprisingly, I must say, he's only had one conversation with Kevin Thelwell so far, so that may put a direction into some Rangers fans' minds whether Barry will be considered for this job. Personally, I think it looks like it's going to an outside name. We've heard names this week such as Danny Röhl leaving Sheffield Wednesday. He's been a man that the Red Bull group have liked before. He's been linked with the job. Another one that I find particularly interesting, Marco Rosa. He's another man who the Red Bull group have been involved with before. So it's all about takeover chat here with Rangers. As we say, moving forward, Barry Ferguson made another interesting point today that he believes that with one good summer of recruitment, Rangers can be able to bridge that gap towards Celtic if they get it right. But they're going to have to get it right off the park and on it moving into the close season.
And above that, Blair, a lot has been made of when those decisions will be made. Barry reckons it's sooner rather than later would help everybody, but you have to wait till all the contracts, the I's have been dotted, the T's have been crossed before you get any movement on players coming in. But there'll be a few players going out. There's one in particular that looks as if he's maybe kicked his last ball for Rangers.
Very much so, Peter. It looks as though it's going to be a summer of transition here at Ibrox, and the man you're making mention of there, Ianis Hagi. Barry Ferguson confirming this afternoon that he is out for the season. The Romanian has played his last game for Rangers for this season, and maybe his last game the Rangers shirt for good. He's a player that's out of contract, and perhaps that could be goodbye to Ianis Hagi. And maybe perhaps a sad end to the Ianis Hagi tale here at Ibrox. It started oh so promisingly with those 2 goals and that spectacular night for Rangers fans against Braga a few years ago. Of course, he fell out of favour, went on loan to Alaves, came back, and a lot of Rangers fans thought that might be the making of him. He might get a second chance, but he hasn't really kicked on here at Ibrox, and that could be the end of Ianis Hagi here. Another point that was brought up today in the Barry Ferguson press conference, he was asked about that controversial moment in the Old Firm game when missiles were directed towards the goalkeeper Sinisalo. He condemned the Rangers fans who threw things onto the park. He said we don't want to see that in our game, and we don't want to go back, crucially, in the Old Firm games to having no away fans. We don't want any restrictions. We want to keep moving forward with this derby back to the way it was. He even said that when he was at Fenerbahce away in Turkey with Rangers, he had things flying over his head, and he said it's not nice for anyone to be involved with, and he said that he wouldn't want to see that at any games going forward.
Yeah, thanks to Blair out there at Ibrox. He's been speaking to the Rangers camp ahead of that crucial match against Aberdeen. That will take place on Sunday. If you want to hear more from Barry Ferguson, you can right across all of our social media. We'll get the thoughts of the guys here just shortly. Here's also what we'll be talking about on today's show.
Coming up on today's show, brought to you by Arnold Clark Rewards. Barry Ferguson calls for more clarity as for who will take the club forward from the managerial seat next season. Celtic keeper Viljami Sinisalo hits out at fans throwing objects at Ibrox. Ex-Hearts boss Stephen Naismith reacts to Tony Bloom's £10 million investment. And finally, Ange Postecoglou claims doubters fear Tottenham trophy win.
Yeah, lots of things to talk about. What did you make of what Blair had to say there with regards to, obviously, the fans are getting more and more excited. They can see the change that's going to come at boardroom level.
Yeah, I think they must be excited. You know, obviously, the reports are this club have got a great history, and the clubs that they've taken over, they've done particularly well. But I think the biggest question is, how much is it going to cost to come in? And how much is it going to be to change things? You know, a lot of fans are thinking, oh, there's 100 million thrown about here. And so until we get a figure, we'll see what they've got to play with and what kind of quality of player they're bringing in.
Yeah, and of course, those decisions will only be made excuse me, when you've actually got the key figures in place, although Kevin Thelwell's there at the moment. He'll be making moves in the background, undoubtedly. And Barry Ferguson, the manager, fairly philosophical about it all. He's not going to concern himself too much. He's said his piece on what he thinks should be happening quicker at Ibrox, but he's going to have to wait.
I just had a conversation in terms of how I've seen it since I've been in the door, since the 24th of February. Obviously that will remain private, sorry should I say, that what we've discussed. But since then, nothing. So I'm not going to go and cry in a corner. I need to be as professional as possible, as I mentioned before, and making sure that I do my job to the best of my ability.
Yeah, there is that element of uncertainty, but there's an element of uncertainty for not only managers who are waiting to see where they're going to finish up in every league across the whole of the European football and beyond that, to be perfectly honest with you, but the players as well face a summer of uncertainty, a lot of them at Ibrox.
Barry's spoken about the fact that these are games now that certainly the last month or so, this is proving ground for Rangers players. They've got to appreciate that the failures that have been well documented will come with consequence, and the consequence will be that there'll be a revolution. Blair spoke about the word, and I think there has to be, but it has to get done quickly. I think the announcement will get pushed forward as quick as possible because the revamp, the surgery that needs to be done is quite, I mean, it's going to be large, it's going to be an exodus, but how do you get players out that are sitting in contracts that are heavy contracts for guys that have delivered very little? Why would they move to a contract that's going to be less? Why would they move to clubs when there's not a big stampede to get any of them? I think you're right, across Europe it's nervous for any player. Contracts now generally are short-term ones. Very few players get longer-term ones, and I think there will be a mass exodus to the point where they can get as many players out as they possibly can.
It doesn't take a genius to work out that Hagi is probably on his way. I thought if you look back over the course of the year and the season, I thought Rangers didn't really covered themselves in glory with that whole mess with Hagi. You know, at times when he really should have been in the side, and financial aspects of it may well have dictated it, clauses in the contract that we're not privy to, Ruffy. But nevertheless, I don't think it takes a genius to know that he'll be looking elsewhere to go and sign a deal.
I don't think he'll have a problem. You know, I think there's a lot of clubs that have been looking at him, you know, trying to get him in the windows. And when he came back to Rangers, he thought, well, maybe I'll get a wee run here. Obviously, that hasn't happened, so it'll open again for his agent to explore what other clubs are out there. The thing I kept going, who's going to make the decision if Barry's not going to get the manager? Who's going to make the decision of what players leave? Because there's nobody seen them all year but Barry. If you know what I mean, so
yeah, but there will
there is
a consultancy process and a general view.
I know, but it'd be interesting to see who is making the decision, who's going and who's not.
Yeah, I would suggest to you at this moment that Barry will be consulted. The backroom team, everybody will have a look at the players, assess the contracts, assess what money they're on, talk to Kevin Thelwell. Kevin Thelwell will look at the whole thing and say to himself, right, here is the dossier I'm going to hand to the new man. It's a quick turnaround. It's not ideal, but here it is.
You can simplify the process by saying how many players you want to keep, and that makes it easier. I disagree with you, Hagi. Hagi's moments in the Rangers jersey were few and far between. His impact ratio for goals and assists was really poor. He's a very talented player. Once he gets on his left foot, you can see there's quality there. Again, I don't think there'll be a stampede to take him. I think a lot of the stuff that you get about clubs that are looking to take him comes from his dad.
I was going to say that.
I think if you're identifying who actually you don't want to keep, it makes it much easier to look at who you want to keep, and there's very, very few.
Yeah, don't disagree with Ruffy too often. Gordon Smith did it on a regular basis, and then Ruffy demanded that he was billeted right out the door. That's the type of thing that Ruffy does. He's ruthless. I just the way you looked at him there, I thought, oh,
well, it wasn't ruthless when it came to keeping the ball out the net.
you're giving the legend that cold stare. I just thought, Ruffy, he's for the off, isn't he? And you're in the chair which McManus uses, which is for Twitter feed posts that you don't want to answer anybody back on. So he's got the right man in the job there. Thanks to so many people who are obviously joining us on our feed. And Anne would say, Barry knows he's not getting it. Yeah, absolutely. And also, Brian, who's completely and utterly obsessed with PLZ's stance on Barry Ferguson. Can PLZ just not admit he's not good enough for the job? He won't be appointed. It'll be someone from England or foreign lands. There you are. That's a classic way for Brian to say, I told you it was Europe or somebody from England. There you have it. I think the general consensus is Rangers. Kevin Thelwell has got to look and scour the market based on a takeover. If the takeover happens, his whole remit might change. His whole group of managers that he potentially wants to go and get could change dramatically.
We don't know the detail. We don't know the budget. We don't know how much work, investment needs to be put in infrastructure-wise. Off the pitch, it's going to clearly there has to be money put in, injected in, and how much of that swallowed up the playing budget. The detail is what the Rangers fans are waiting to hear. The expectation levels will be based on that. They might be disappointed because how much money do you think is it going to take for Rangers then to get themselves into a state that they're a credible force again? Maybe a lot more than Rangers fans think.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, way back in 2000 when somebody said to Martin O'Neill, it's going to take you 5 years to turn around Celtic to catch Dick Advocaat's Rangers, it took him 3 games. You know, it took him 3 games in 5 minutes where Chris Sutton had scored in a game that suddenly the whole of the Celtic fans and everybody started to believe, and then they ended up winning the treble. So it can happen. It's all about recruitment. It's all about using that money wisely. But and by the way, remember, we're not talking about a complete turnaround where the other team are unbelievably weak. When Martin O'Neill did it, Rangers had some team. They were a really good team. So it can happen, Ruffy, but it needs certain elements in place. Maybe it's a good sporting director. Maybe it's the right type of recruitment. Maybe it's a sufficient amount in a budget, because it doesn't need, some people will go, it needs 100 million and you need to buy 9 players.
It's the right players.
I know, but even if the right players, can you see them suddenly being...
You can cost cut with a mentality change and a mindset. That can be powerful. Martin O'Neill's team was mentally so strong, and that really was the catalyst for the success, the belief they had.
Yeah.
You have to re-educate that Rangers dressing room how to go and win games, because the mindset's wrong, and it has been for a long time. This is not just this season, it trails back season after season after season. If you bring in a charismatic, dynamic manager who changes the mentality around Ibrox, I think that's your primary goal, because you can achieve great things with that.
Yeah.
But as Ruffy says, it's the recruitment.
Yeah, over and above that, I think you remember, Ruffy, back in January, we went through the team and I kept 3. I think I kept 3, and you all, like, absolutely, I think I get slaughtered by more than a few on it. I kept 3.
Who did you keep?
Do you want to tell you, I couldn't even nail it down now. But it wasn't a lot of players that I thought were impressive enough, because quite simply they just haven't been able to do the business. Simple as that. But you can give us your thoughts. Never mind speculating on the manager, because you'd be as well going into a darkened room and just picking out one of the cards on the Panini sticker album, because everybody's been mentioned.
Do you not think the new manager will have a Red Bull influence? And the other teams that they have owned by Red Bull, that they've obviously been bringing in managers, and they've obviously got a list of managers that they've been using in all their Red Bull teams.
Whoever has identified the profile of that person is a contact-based guy, because it's all about recruitment, and that person has to have access to players that Rangers probably could not reach. So that will be a massive factor in who they identify.
Okay, they're playing against Aberdeen, and this one is a situation where Aberdeen will have to come to Glasgow, and I think have to win, Ruffy, because this battle with Hibs have got a better goal difference, and I think they're going to have to step up there. Jimmy Talleen was going to have to convince those players that they can do something at Ibrox.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they have to do. They've got to convince them they can come down to Celtic and Rangers and take something. You know, they've had a really bad run. They're on a decent run now. They're picking up points. There'll be a wee bit of confidence within the camp to come down. They'll look at the Rangers 7 defeats, which is unheard of. So they'll come down confident, but they still have to perform on the park, because I think Rangers, as they proved last week, they've still got something to offer, and obviously the supporters will be there and they'll be demanding a win.
Yeah, 7 without a win for Rangers at home. As far as Aberdeen are concerned, their manager is Manager of the Month. So Parksy and I have been at 8 million press conferences where the manager pays tribute to the team, and this little clip here is no different.
I think that's a reward for like the work we do inside the club. My job as a manager is to see like everybody feel important, that they have a big role to play, and I think the manager is one thing, but then you have, it's a teamwork, like I said, as a collective game of football, but also around the team.
Yeah, I've heard that many a time. I'd love a manager to say, you know what?
It was all me.
It was all me. I really turned it around with this team. But Jimmy Talleen never wavers since the day now he came in. He's been absolutely deadpan, in the highs and in the lows. He's kept that same monotone reaction to anything that's coming his way. Can they go to Ibrox and win?
I remember going to after-match presser, and Kilmarnock had turned over a poor Aberdeen team, and Jimmy came in after the game, and I said to him, is it time to go and show your fangs, raise your voice, get a different kind of fear factor into your dressing room, because that was really poor. And again, sedate, calm, gave you the look as if I'll do what I want, and that's his method. He has to go and get something, he has to get a bark at his team on Sunday, because they've been better, but they're still a really fallible team. They were worked out quickly after the brilliant run. But that's a watershed. That's gone. You have to go to Glasgow against a vulnerable Rangers team and deliver. Can they do that? Why not? If it was me and I'm going to, I'm part of that Aberdeen squad, I'm looking for the scalp, and I believe that I'm going to get it.
Okay, I don't believe they're going to do it. Do you?
No.
Right. Okay. Ruffy.
No, I think Rangers showed in bits against Celtic last week with the home advantage. support behind them. I don't think Aberdeen are there yet to go and win, so I'm going to go Rangers to win 2-1.
Yep, I'll go there as well. Parsley?
Aberdeen can get a draw from that game.
Okay, Nisbet, Player of the Year at Pittodrie, the club's Player of the Year. Is there a catch chance in hell of him coming back next season?
I hope so.
Yeah, I'd like to see him.
Yeah. He's better than what they've got.
Yeah, I'd like to see him with a full pre-season as well. Just one little footnote, Rangers awaiting, Rangers now want to actually put into place formal approval of any tifo in the ground, Ruffy, and I think that's a step ahead, but really something that should have been in place a long time ago. I'm amazed that comment has to be made.
Yeah, I think we've sat in the show all season wondering how that happens. You know, you would like to think they go through a proper procedure for a whole stand to buy into a tifo like that. You know, that we keep talking about how did the security stop it. I saw a clip somewhere that a security guy was taking a flag off the Celtic supporters.
A flag? Is this bigger than a flag?
It's a flaggy flag. He says you're not going in there with that, but he was fighting with them, you know, to get it off him. So that's what we want to see.
Did you see Dessers score? He scored, and the security guard jumped on the pitch and celebrated with him. Did you see that on Sunday?
Yeah. Let's not.
They need to keep their eye on the ball. They need to keep their eye on the stands.
Absolutely.
There's a problem.
I've seen players celebrating goals, police celebrating goals as well.
But raising their flags.
there's more than a
I
few.
thought the boy from Milan was leaving the stadium when he scored the other night. He jumped out the bar and he's up the fence.
Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about that a little later on, Ruffy. Try not to read the complete script before I do it. As far as the games are concerned, here's a wee look at what you've got on offer with regards to the football this weekend. Of course, we did touch on Rangers against Aberdeen. Celtic are going to take on Hibs. We've got Dundee United against St Mirren, which we're going to discuss. Hearts against Motherwell, with the obvious who's going to be the manager. Kilmarnock against Dundee. St Johnstone against Ross County it's the trap door staring at you. We'll get the thoughts on that as well. Probably look at something in the Championship playoff and talk about the teams who are making it into the European finals. The Champions League final, we now know, after one of the best games that I think you're ever likely to witness in many a decade between Inter and Barcelona. Lots of things to talk about. Give us your thoughts on that as well. And don't forget, if you like what we're doing and you want to see more exclusive content, all of the stuff we do now is free, but there's a new launch of PLZ Premium. You can click on that. And we've got news coming up, which will give you a chance to come to one of our events. We're going to be talking to legends, managers, players, past and present, on the roads, an evening with. We'll have lots of players and managers from north and south of the border at these events, and the next one up is the 14th of June with Gordon Strachan and Martin O'Neill. We're talking Aberdeen, talking Manchester United, Nottingham Forest, Clough, Sir Alex Ferguson, of course their time as Celtic manager as well. It's going to be a great night. 14th of June. All you have to do is look at the link that we have on our YouTube channel. Click on that, and if you're on Twitter, we will post it out as well to allow you the opportunity to click and get yourself some tickets for a good night. Really looking forward to it. So, with that in mind, Celtic against Hibs. Sinisalo was talking today, Ruffy, about the objects that were thrown at him. I know Barry Ferguson has condemned people who would throw anything from the stands, and that's, again, to the great credit of the Rangers manager not dodging the issue. Sinisalo says, first of all, I was hit with something not in my upper body, somewhere in my lower leg. It wasn't just a bottle, it was lighters, vapes, coins, mugs. If that glass bottle hits me, what happens then? What if it hits you in the eye and you can't play football after that? What happens then? I don't know how people identify who it is, because there's lots of people throwing them. There was 30 or 40 objects on the pitch. And that tells you all you need to know, because sometimes along the way, when we talk about games involving teams, it's almost as if some broadcasters drop into the cliche of it's the minority. You get 30 or 40 morons throwing stuff. Hopefully the police at a later date on inspection of the CCTV arrest them and then alert the club to ban them.
As night follows day, that should be the protocol. I mean, how difficult surely can it be to identify somebody throwing a bottle? and you have to, I think, go large on it. Document exactly what the punishment is, enforce it en masse. Surely they can pan in on the culprits, deal with them effectively, and the deterrent then is if you do it, you will be caught. This is perennial. How many times are we talking about the same thing? You have to act on it decisively, make a big show so nobody's in any doubt. If you get antisocial thoughts or behaviours, you're going to get harshly dealt with.
Yeah.
It's appalling if he's actually got to talk it, but morons do what morons do.
Yeah.
But they have to have consequence.
It's not as if you're going to talk about it from when Ruffy was playing, you know, in the 70s, and then when it moved into the 80s, there was a lot of real hard-edged hooliganism right across the board. Has it got any better yet? Certainly the conduct on the platform of social media has given a lot of people that you would never have heard from in normal life allow us to have to put up with some of the verbal nonsense that goes on, but there's still hooligans who go to games and think it's okay to throw something.
I think we have to congratulate the company who found out the boy who did the 66, and they sacked him.
Yeah.
So he's lost his job.
Right, that's
great. And that's what you want to see. Yeah. Things like that happening. And it just shows you how easy it can done. Full page, you know, about the story. You would like to think the people run about and we're going, oh, wait a wee minute, you know, this could be me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would you like to see name and shame?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
They have done it on major news channels before, Patsy.
Peter, if you're of the mindset to go and get a bottle and throw it at someone, then you have to get hit with every consequence possible. Naming and shame is a trivial issue. Punish them legally. It's a jailing offence if you do it in Sucky Hall Street. And I think you have to set the standard higher. And I don't think Scottish football's really delivered on that.
Okay, Celtic against Hibs, Johnston, Cameron, Carter Vickers out, Schmeichel available, and Kuhn is back, which begs the question, with 3 games remaining, the title in the bag, some people actually look and say to themselves, well, wait a minute, you know, is this a chance to blood some youngsters? Is there a chance to roll out Johnny Kenny? Or, if you do that, suddenly some of the key players are going to be playing in the Scottish Cup final, we'll be thinking, I'm a bit rusty here, I need games.
No. At this stage of the season, great opportunity to give players a bit of a rest. Also, more importantly, Celtic invest a lot of money in their academy. What a chance to go and let these players go and showcase. If it was me, flood the team with youngsters.
Ruffy?
I think I'd flood them.
Well, I'm going to say to you, flood the team with youngsters suddenly gives Hibs third place.
I prefer that, but that's not Celtic's concern.
There are certain positions in the Celtic team that you could put youngsters in. I don't know why he doesn't wrap up Callum McGregor, you know, and give the guy a break. You know, he's played in so many games this year. Up front, you know, obviously the young boy Kenny that you mentioned there, he was good enough to get thrown on against Rangers at Ibrox, so why not give him a shout? And there will be other boys who was the boy who got a chance in the pre-season over in America when he played Chelsea. I haven't seen him for a wee while.
Yeah, give us his exact name, Ruffy, because I know it's...
I'm not kidding, I can't remember his name.
The benefit of these things, I remember Kieran Tierney, the catalyst for him being a success at Celtic was by coincidence, right? He even talks about it, getting elevated into a game that he never thought he would ever play in.
Good Tony Watt.
There you go. So you're only ever going to find out if you give these guys a chance, and there's nothing to lose. Go and do it.
Absolutely. There's certainly something to lose for Hibs. They want to try in the 3 games they've got remaining. It's not going to be easy. They've got Celtic and St Mirren away, and then they're at home to Rangers. They're 3 points ahead of Aberdeen, knowing full well that maybe things might not change unless Aberdeen produce something special at Ibrox. Hibs are going to have to produce something. I mean, I think potentially, you know, if Hibs were to get a point at Celtic Park, they'd be absolutely buzzing, because I think that would be just that final little point that they need.
The motivation against and the momentum against a team that have got nothing other than a performance to play for, I think can go and allow Hibs to go and have a go and achieve the point that, as you say, it's a critical point for that could be enough.
Yeah. Contract talks with Martin Boyle, 32. Would you give him an extension?
Yeah, I think he's proved the latter part of the season that he's a big player for Hibs when they're playing the way they are. You know, I think he'll want to stay. You know, I think he's touched on, he's been away and he's come back again. The decision's all up to him. Obviously, he's got an agent, and agents are going to be going, look, my guy is out of contract, and then you'll see the clubs that might be interested in him, and then he's the one that's got to say, well, am I happy here, or do I want to try somewhere else?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the game? Prediction?
I still think Celtic will be buzzing, just narrowly win it, 2-1.
Yeah, is 2-1 just your scoreline now all the way through to the end of the season?
I was sitting on the fence earlier. That's bold.
Yeah.
That's bold.
I think Celtic will win it. Yep, I think it'll be 1-0. But yeah, you're at that point where you're thinking to yourself,
I'm thinking
it
to
matters more
myself.
to Hibs.
I'm thinking to myself, if Callum McGregor starts the game, it bemuses me completely. There's no purpose in it.
No.
And Hibs have got everything there ahead of them, and I think that could be really a massive factor in determining what happens.
Kevin Vickers out.
Yes. What's your prediction?
1 each.
1 each, okay. I didn't hear you right, Parsley. That's why I come back to you there, son. Dundee United against St Mirren. If United win this one, Robbie, it guarantees 5th and European football. And I'll give you this chilling statistic. This season, United have won all 3 league games. They've won against St Mirren in the League Cup. They've scored 5 and conceded none against them.
Yeah, I think that's when they were flying. You were on a good run. They're not on a good run now. You know, the pressure's now beginning to sink in, and St Mirren will be pointing up there. You seen the celebrations last week when they got the goal. Stephen Robertson will be trying to get it into them that they've got a lot to play for. They still could grab that 5th place. So this is a really important game for both teams. I just think Dundee United aren't where they were earlier on.
Yeah, I mean, St Mirren, Stephen Robinson, rather tongue-in-cheek, was saying, you know, what they achieved to get into the top 6. Some of them should be getting statues. He said if they get Europe, all of them should be getting statues immediately.
I'll build them for them. I'll build them for the players. It's a super group of staff and players. It's there's boys that have been here for the whole 3 years that I've been, and there's been a relative success. You know, success is relevant to where you are and what your resources are. And for us to be a top 6 side 3 years in a row is a brilliant achievement for the players, brilliant achievement for the staff. And we've given ourselves a chance to hang in there. It's a long shot, we know that. We have to keep winning. We're capable of that, we've no doubt about it. If we can keep everybody fit for the last 3 games, then, you know, hopefully we can keep that hope going until right till the last kick of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a marvellous job. We certainly enjoyed his chat and his 3 games. Dundee United away on Saturday, and then they're at home to Hibs and away to Celtic. So he knows it's a tall order.
He does. They've been fantastic. I think they're one of the best coached teams in the Premiership. I think the instructions that the players follow to the letter is, to a degree, a massive part of why they've done so well. Dundee United, on the other hand, contracts are getting dangled. Jim Goodwin's delayed confirming contracts for players, so these guys are getting centres there. I just think it's a great start. United start, then that has to fall, because to go the clean sweep when there's not that much between teams, statistically would suggest someone will get a result.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Parsley's going that way. I'm going to go United. I'm going to go.
Backside's killing me, but
Yeah, you got it. What are you? I'm going to go 1-1.
I'm going 1-1 as well.
Yeah. Okay, it's such a tight one to call. Hearts against Motherwell. Liam Fox was the man speaking today. Obviously, as the interim yet again. I think he wants to be a manager in his own right, though.
Everyone I speak to, when Liam Fox's name comes up, it's nothing but a positive, glowing reference about how good a coach he is.
Yeah.
Great
Is he a
about the
coach
club.
or a manager?
Coach. He's a coach. I've watched him do that. I've interviewed him numerous times when he's had the caretaker role, and he doesn't fill the room the way a Hearts manager should. But he's a brilliant guy, brilliant coach. There's no crime in not having that kind of, you know what I'm talking about, right? People that can control a dressing room with their voice.
Yeah.
Not that kind of guy, but really impressive. Both as a coach for younger players, but gets respect from a dressing room of senior players.
So that job is out with him, but is a coach, is a manager at any level?
Well, listen, I think Liam Fox knows that he's been really lucky to get profiled in the clubs that he's had. He's done very well to make himself prominent, and it shows you the respect that the club has for him, that they give him these caretaker roles. He just doesn't. He lacks that X factor as a manager. Can he manage it? What are we talking here? Are we talking Hamilton Accies, or because he's not a Premiership manager? You need more than that.
Yeah, okay, interesting enough. Liam Fox himself, talking about whoever the new manager is, I think he knows it's not going to be himself taking up the reins at Tynecastle.
Whoever it is, they should take the plug out of that computer. Go and find somebody that knows the game.
Yeah, okay. Perhaps he's not a fan of Jamestown analytics. And Liam Fox is probably taking the plug out of the computer because he said it's a simple process to get yourself on side with the fans. He thinks you just need to win games.
To win games of football first and foremost. I know that sounds really, really simple, but it's not for me to sit here and decide and tell you what a Hearts manager. This is the club are going through a process. They'll pick the right person that they think has the qualities that they need to lead the football club. What I can say is it's a brilliant job. It's a brilliant football club, brilliant set of supporters, some really good staff members in and around the building. They've got brilliant facilities here, so it's a brilliant job for whoever gets it.
Yeah, and of course every now and then we like to read out some of your messages, obviously with your opinion on situations about Rangers, Celtic, teams in the Scottish Premiership, your favourite team, and of course if there's a pundit comes on a day where he obviously gets it, perhaps he's on the journals more often than not, Ruffy, which takes him away from our live feed, and he doesn't get that sense of what the public think of him. So I'm
not too happy.
I'm just about to give it to him now. Because so Rob has said, here goes Parsley and his need for overbearing aggressive instinct in a manager. Yeah, he's had a few overbearing managers in his time, I have to be honest with you, Rob, but listen, at least here you'll get an opinion on these things. So Liam Fox is in charge for the match against Motherwell, just trying to take it as positive as he possibly can. And of course, as we discussed this week, Tony Bloom, 9.86 million, I think was the story from Barry Anderson in the Edinburgh Evening News about his commitment to Hearts, the investment that he'll want. He won't be on the actual board. He'll have a representative there. And then it's just a case of, trying to tap into this Jamestown analytics that Tony Bloom buys into with his company. Stevie Naismith, we caught up with him this week, the former Hearts manager, and he reckons this investment will be a real shot in the arm for Hearts.
He's not just going on a whim. In my opinion, this is not an ego-driven, I want to be... That's not what this is about. This is about making a statement in a league that's predominantly dominated by two clubs, and this is an opportunity to go, right, I think I've got a tool here that works, really works. And there's probably no better case study than being in a league where there's a domination by two clubs.
Well, I'm old school, and I don't think £10 million is going to make a dent in Rangers and Celtic.
You're going to make a dent in that couch.
I know.
But by the way, I'll tell you something, it's not forming. I mean, don't listen to anything. I mean, if Tony Bloom comes out tomorrow and starts this claptrap about, really challenging them, that's not the case here. The reality of it is, Ruffy, that Hearts, with Jamestown Analytics, with 10 million investment, with the backing of the fans who've been absolutely brilliant, are quite simply looking to finish third.
Yeah, and I'm sure the other teams that he's probably talking about, Aberdeen and Hibs, also have money behind them. And if they thought there was a hint of Hearts dominating them, I'm sure they would do something about it with the owners that they've got. So it's always good to get money at a club, there's no doubt about that. It's how you use it, and the supporters, as you said, have been putting money into the club left, right and centre for a lot of years. So it'll be interesting to see what part of the negotiations they take with the amount of money they've put in over the years.
Never in my modern era of watching Hearts have ever had a better opportunity with that kind of amount of money to go and do what nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of money for a club like Hearts.
Is Derek McInnes the man?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Of course, there's a number of players that we were talking about at every club wondering what's going to happen. Even Craig Gordon, 42, but he reckons both he and many others won't be talking contracts until everything is done and dusted with the new man in place.
I can't see any contracts being handed out while we don't have a manager. So, yeah, the next few weeks we'll sit down and have a chat and see where things are at. Yeah, we have spoke, and they've been very open about what they want for next season. But yeah, there's still a few discussions to be had. Obviously, the new manager coming in will have a say in that as well. So, yeah, we'll just see what the next couple of weeks brings.
42.
Unbelievable.
Fantastic, isn't it?
He's unbelievable. When he's that kind of goalkeeper that could play another year, and if he wasn't playing in the first team, you'd want him as number 2.
Ruffy,
you'd want him about the place.
What age were you when you called it a day?
39.
Yeah. But the thing about it is with Craig Gordon is he's a really good goalkeeper. I mean, it's not as if we're sitting here discussing a man with sentiment. We're talking about a top drawer goalkeeper, and he keeps producing brilliant saves.
He's still Scotland's number 1. Instinctive reaction saves, which you think diminish by age. I haven't seen anything that suggests that that's been diminished. There's nothing in his game that I can see has been diminished, which, given the fact that his back catalogue of injuries, makes it all the more astonishing.
Yeah, I think also there's a real incentive for him because he missed out in such a huge chunk of his playing career. He wants to try and maximise it at the other end, and he's managed to do that.
Yeah, the last time I spoke to him, I said to him I hoped that he would try and keep playing for Scotland as much as possible. Obviously the injuries curtailed him. I thought he was the one that was going to take over Jim Leighton. You know, I'm not exactly sure how many Craig's got now, but I mean another year playing for Scotland, he wouldn't be far off being the most capped goalkeeper in the history. And I think that would be in the back of his mind, that something you'd want to achieve. Obviously the scale that he missed, you know, he could have beat Jim easily, but I think he should sign for another year, and if he keeps playing the way he's playing for Scotland, he won't be far away for getting that target.
Yeah, I enjoyed Stephen O'Donnell, who was our guest on Monday, talking about all things Motherwell. Obviously some good debate on that victory over Dundee. VAR again, the bone of contention for so many, but nevertheless he was giving us his thoughts on Motherwell, the new manager Michael Wimmer, and they are now safely yet again in the top flight. So who's going to win this one? Hearts or Motherwell? Hearts just edging it.
They've just got a better squad. I just think that the Hearts can't afford to finish the season and are just downer. They've got to at least lift things a wee bit.
Yeah, but they've got to win.
I know that, and
Yeah.
I think they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a win comfortable. I think Shankland's got back to where he was with the goals he scored last week.
What is a number 9?
Yeah. I thought last week he was there or thereabouts. You know, the Shankland that we saw last year, you know, if the ball breaks in a vicinity, he's there. I think he'll score again, and I think they'll win 3-0.
Okay, Kilmarnock against Dundee. All the talk to the assistant manager, Paul Sheeran. If you're wondering why he's been doing a couple of the press conferences in the Kilmarnock press room, it's quite simply because there are steps up to that room, and Derek's had a knee operation, so he's doesn't want to jeopardise it, or maybe he's just ducking the Hearts question. Who knows? Paul Sheeran said the club is well aware of the interest, and Paul Sheeran reckons if it happens, they'll be ready.
In football, people move on, and it's constantly changing and evolving. So I'd like to think that the club are always in a position to be ready if anything was to happen. I think managers get sacked, managers move on to better things. So there's always a evolution in the game, and I'm sure the club will be prepared if they have to be for that eventuality. I'm sure they'll be in a position to bring someone else in and move on.
Yeah, as far as Killie are concerned, one thing that Derek McInnes did mention last week was that he always thought, just with the quality they have available, he was always thinking, I'm going to be looking up the way rather than thinking I'm going to be involved in the relegation.
Yeah, I think they've been very, very unlucky with the injuries they got at the right time of the season. 2 wide men out, main striker out, didn't let the back out, goalkeeper as well, so he's dug on in there, but I think he believed that when he come up against the teams that are run about him, that they have better players.
And they're against a Dundee side that I watched, the chances last week. squandered them, got a man sent off, got the manager really angry about a decision that went against him. And suddenly, and this is the thing that a lot of people will forget, such decisions can determine the future of a manager and the club and the players' contracts for the next season. And Dundee are looking, saying themselves, Kelly, Ross County and St Johnstone ahead.
Tony will know they need to shed the victim complex, because it's, listen, that was harsh. I didn't think it was the right decision. I thought it was a bit of a joke, to be honest, but too much at stake. You need to dust myself down. The difficulty is Dundee lose too many goals, and they seem to be hit at this moment of the season with circumstance going against them. Things not going their way. I mean, the ball's not bouncing for you. You've got a problem at this stage, and I don't think it will bounce for them tomorrow either.
I'm going to go 2-1 Kelly, you?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, 2-1 Kelly.
St Johnstone against Ross County. This is what we call real squeaky bum time, Ruffy. They're just... A win for Saints means they're just 3 points away from Ross County, and that's all you've got to say to the players. You want to prove everybody wrong, you think we're down and out, go out there at home, beat Ross County, and then it really will become nervy.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll be saying that in Ross County as well. You know, I think they're still trying to live off the 3 away games that they had, and the bounce they got that took them away from everybody, but now they're back again. So they're going to rely on certain players. I think they're relying on wee boy Hale. I've been really impressed with him. You know, if he can notch, you know, that'll give them a bit of confidence. But it's just a nervy game, and it's which set of players can handle it better than the others.
Yeah, there are certain games that I mean, as you know, I try and go to as many games out with the big games, because I think it's always good to get an insight in the flesh, seeing teams the way they play. And when you see the St Johnstones, the Ross Counties, sometimes the football is not great to watch. This is one that I think, you know, I've watched end of season games, and this one is going to be crash bang wallop for me.
On a bumpy pitch.
Yeah.
So all the ingredients for a battle royale, and it will be a battle royale. The team that wins the game, the team that wants it more, and that's when you're going to get a blood and thunder.
Just out of curiosity, I saw somebody talking about, I know Simo Valakari's maybe trying to put an edge to it by saying, you know, he'll live or die by his results on his future. But I think he'll be safe to try and get them out of the Championship next season.
I think he's a perfect man to do it, because he does see a bigger picture. Valakari's got a cultural aspect to him. He's got a personality that doesn't kind of become totally doom and gloom. He sees like there can be hope beyond a St Johnstone team that haven't been good enough, but better, dropping out a league where they can regroup and they can revamp and recruit better. And he's got the contact base to do that. Again, it's perfect time for, if there's a perfect time for a club to take the drop, he's a perfect manager to take them with.
Okay, how's it going then in the crash bang wallop, you know? Blood, guts and
thunder. It's not going well for Ross County, I don't think.
Yeah?
No. I just think that there's a resignation there. And I think, as Ruffy says, guys like Hale, opportunist strikers, it'll be a game that will be one of those moments, and they've got better personnel.
Okay, I'm going St Johnstone to win it by a penalty.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes, Ruffy, we're even giving you how it's going to be won.
No, I'll go St Johnstone 2-0.
2-0, okay, interesting. Give us your thoughts on that. Battle at the bottom, certainly going to be interesting to see how it all develops. And of course, let's not forget that third place fight that's going on at the moment as well. Not too many Dons fans on today in a confident mood, Ruffy. I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, where are all the Dons fans that want to talk about their side and what they're about to achieve? But I don't see too many of them. So with that in mind, just a brief one on Ayr United, Partick Thistle. Your team have got to try and do something, go into Somerset Park and win.
Yeah, disappointing the result, getting beat 1-0 at home. You'd like to think you could take something to Somerset for that one, but you have to give Ayr United all the credit. They've now got home advantage. I think possibly a wee bit more confident than Thistle. You know, Thistle are relying on Brian Graham far too much for me to come up with a winning goal, so it's going to be a tense night. And honestly, with the way Championship is, I know Ayr United look favourites, but that Championship can throw up anything.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Ayr United to win at 1-0.
I'll stick with Thistle 2-1.
Yeah. Are you sticking with Thistle because you're just unbelievably biased and you follow that pattern of some other pundits right across all our broadcast industry who just can't go against their old side?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I just thought I'd clarify that for you because I know we always brag about giving you an opinion and a wee bit of humour, but if you've got to nail them, you've got to nail them on it, Partsy. The last couple of minutes has been absolutely worthless listening to what he just said there.
Ruffy, you know that I'm going to that game tonight.
I know.
And I was there on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I told you exactly. Why don't you listen?
I always say that to him. I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell him the PSG story. See,
Yeah.
my team's made it. You come to that later on.
Yeah.
I stuck with PSG for 4 seasons
Yeah.
to win the Champions League, and they failed miserably.
Miserably.
What was the Barcelona one?
Well, he said to me, I said, could Barcelona come back and win it? He went, not a chance in hell. He said, there's no way they're coming back. He says, they're out. PSG are on their way to the final. And then as each goal went into the back of the net for Barcelona, I just started sending it text by text until eventually I think he just went to bed. But once the late goal came in, which brings me nicely to the fact that PSG are in the final when he's not backed them.
Yes.
See if you throw mud at the wall often enough.
Yeah.
Someone gets stick.
Yeah, PSG deserving of it.
100%.
Arteta, future sack? No, kept on. Another 10 years of Arsene Wengerism with nothing to win.
I think you got a manager that needs to win something. I know he has won one trophy, FA Cup. He needs to deliver, but getting a team to a Champions League semis, come on. I mean, how high is the bar?
Yeah.
How many teams can win it?
Well, with all due respect to you, have you not been watching the last 3 years in the Premiership? We just can't win it.
I know that, but again, he needs as a young manager to go and get over the line, and I think take the club forward. But the only way to do that, I think he's got 1 more year to do it.
Yeah, and then what? They get rid of him?
They have to bring someone in who's got the psychology right, that knows how to deliver victories and win.
Let's dismiss the theory that you don't need a good goalkeeper to get you to a final. Peter says goalkeepers don't win Player of the Year. These 2 goalkeepers. These 2 goalkeepers.
Ruffy, listen. I'm willing to get battered from pillar to post on Donnarumma because this boy's not just producing 1 or 2; it's 3 or 4 worldies.
We're all defined by the keepers.
Yeah, but how he saved Odegaard's shot from the edge of the box, I will never know.
No, there was some fantastic goals, but the saves for me won it on the night.
Yeah, I know we talk about the drama and we love Scottish football, and everybody who tunes into us and subscribes to our channel at times will look at the madness of Scottish football, and we do get really some good games. But when you're talking about levels and when you actually watch the Champions League this season, it's been fantastic, Partsy. And we witnessed, we're talking about Donnarumma and how PSG deserve to be there because they've got 2 or 3 top players that are just brilliant to watch. But the other game was just the best game I've seen in many a year. Inter 4, Barcelona 3.
The theatre, the drama, it's billed as the best of the best, and it's excelled itself.
Yeah.
But I have to say, the players and the manager, the approach to these games.
That's the point I was about to make.
It's been key.
It has been, hasn't it? I mean, that whole ethos of let's go and attack because we have the players to attack and let them flourish and let them go out there. I know it's a classic old Ruffy at Glenafton. Let's go out there and enjoy yourself, son. What about the tactics? Hey, get out there. If I need to give you tactics, get out there and do what you do.
Oh, what's that? A cup one?
Again,
Yes.
when you've got a team that knows that work ethic is as important as giving your individual flair players the ball,
Yeah.
and getting these individuals to go and work on behalf of the team, you've got a formula for success. And it's why PSG failed time after time when you backed them, because they had everything
3
apart
stars.
from that.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm going to go for PSG to win it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think I might be in the Allianz Arena to see it, which would be absolutely fantastic, Ruffy.
Oh.
Yeah.
You take me with you?
Sadly, Partsy, there's
Or am I just going on safari?
there's only about 23 other people in front of you. If they drop out, I'm calling you. Ruffy?
I don't want to put the jinx in PSG, but I like the way they play, yeah.
Yeah, okay. As far as the other European competitions are concerned, of course, I'm sure a few Rangers fans will be looking and saying, well, it's great to see Manchester United absolutely thump Athletic Bilbao. Manchester United are in the Europa League. Amorim, if he wins the Europa League final, suddenly they go into the Champions League. He delivers £100 million to Manchester United in a season where people are wondering if even he's the right manager to take this club of underachievers, poor signings, and a structure in the background that so many fans at United absolutely despise. But they're in the Europa League final and they're against a team, you'll never believe it, they're against a Tottenham team where some of the fans, I don't know how many, but they want Ange Postecoglou sacked. They're not a fan of him. The press are hounding him, and basically Ange, in true Aussie fashion, he's been magnificent, is having none of it. He's fighting back against them.
To be fair, you know better than me. You follow this club probably more than I have. What do you think a trophy would do for this club? Exactly right. So the question answers itself. It's like it doesn't need me to. But you know what? What's happening right now is that people are fearing that it actually might happen. And because it might happen, let's see how we can tear it down somehow, diminish it somehow by, saying that it's been a poor season and it's, we don't deserve this or we don't deserve that, or somehow comparing us to Manchester United. Maybe if we had Manchester United's success, maybe I'd have a different view.
I think he's 100% correct, but it has been a poor season for them, and I think he's got to take the criticism for some of the tactics he's deployed, but fair play to him, Ange has delivered in Europe.
Yeah, I think if you look at the league table, it's not impressive at all, if you're a Spurs supporter, but again, Spurs fans are no different from anybody else. If they go to that final and win it, they'll celebrate more, just as well as everybody else. I don't know whether wheels are in motion to remove him from the bosses because they're not got a great track record, but certainly if he wins a trophy he leaves, I would think his head held high. I'm
amazed he's actually got to the end of the season with that board.
Astonished.
That board is notorious.
Yeah. Something has to give in the final. They cut one way or the other. Ange spent the season justifying the failure that they've been, and to whet the appetite of those fans by doing so well initially, and then bombing compounds the problem.
Is there any slack to be cut for injuries?
Massive slack. He had a point, but he bites too often when he's criticised, and you can see that it's, whether he likes it or not, that's a sign of it infecting him.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Tottenham to win it.
I agree.
Yeah.
When you've got Mason Mount dragging you through to a final, I think these things are like Halley's Comet. Spurs, with a manager that always wins a trophy, will continue that run.
Yeah, and by the way, I'd love to be in that press conference with you when he walks in and leathers some of our compatriots, and he will, by the way.
And he should.
I'd love if he used to walk in when he says, "I told you so, I always win a trophy in my second year."
No, he won't do it. He won't do it like that. I told you all I was going to win it. He'll be absolutely forthright. I mean, listen, I sat with him on more than a few occasions. He's a feisty character at the best of times, and he will let it go with all guns blazing. And by the way, can I tell you something? You and I, Gordon, have been in many a press conference. Sometimes you have to take it on the chin, and the journalists will have to take it.
During COVID, a lot of clubs did their pressers through telephone calls, so it was a nominated journalist that had to take the call. Celtic would phone me on occasion, and I had to speak to Ange. It was hard work. It was desperate times because I've got to make sure they got enough copy for the rest of the boys to flesh out for the weekend stuff. And you had to finesse him a wee bit initially to get him talking and then hit him hard. But he knew exactly what was coming. He's very astute. And at times to keep that level where you're still getting decent stuff without offending them or getting them spiky was a balancing act that I have to hold my hands up and say at times I failed to do.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked him. I like managers, with that a little bit of edge about them.
Say mate to you? Friendly mate? Was it a friendly mate?
But can I just say something to you? Can I just say something to you, Ruffy? After his first, this is the God's honest truth. After his first, I think it was about 7 or 8 weeks, I was doing what can only be described as like an evening with Ange Postecoglou. And I said to him, I've been watching you. I said, I've been listening to you quite regularly in these press conferences. And I says, and usually I said, when you say to someone, mate, it means you think they're a complete idiot, right? You're not happy with the question, and you're saying it because you're hacked off with them, right? And he said, "Yes, mate." And I'm changing the wording of it there. I changed it to.
Do you remember playing? Were you playing in the Australia game?
No, I was on the bench.
Okay. Do you remember Alan Davison captained the Australian team?
Over there or here?
I can't remember, but he was the captain of the Australian team.
Right.
And when Ange came to Celtic, I phoned him and I said, "What kind of guy is Celtic getting here?" He says, "I'll tell you for fact." He says, "You're not getting a guy that's going to be your mate."
Yeah.
And so it came to pass.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's winning Chelsea against Real Betis?
Chelsea.
Chelsea?
Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Listen, great. Good to see Partsy with us, and quite a lot of people. Chris Fraser, I think, is the ideal person to comment because he's got the best line of everything that we read out on our feed. He says, Partsy is the new Steve Irwin, and that's just for the clobber you're wearing today.
What's his name?
His name is Chris Fraser.
I wore this just for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Ridiculous outfit just for you.
Yeah.
Name that movie.
What one? Ridiculous outfit just for you?
My Cousin Vinny. Remember he walks in with the suit, the 1950s suit on?
Yes,
The
absolutely.
judge goes, "Are you mocking me? Are you mocking me with that?" He goes, "What?" He says, "Judge, I wore this ridiculous outfit just for you."
Yeah, and Partsy is for you as well. That's a great line. Thank you very much to each and every one of you. There's a link on there if you want to come along for an evening with Gordon Strachan and Martin O'Neill, even as a neutral. Some of the stories with Clough and Ferguson, Ruffy. What a night that's going to be. Those two together. Yeah. I've managed to get the two of them together for the first time. I don't think they've been out as a duo, as an act, and I think it's going to be great.
No, well, I've been at a night with wee Gordon. I was doing his bit. It was fascinating. Obviously, I know him very well for the playing days, but the stories that he tells is fantastic. I haven't been as close to Martin O'Neill as you have, but I'm sure the two of them will just rub off each other.
Yeah, absolutely. The two of them together talking about Clough and Sir Alex Ferguson as well should be absolutely box office. Looking forward to it. The link is in there in the YouTube channel if you want to come along to that. Thank you to everyone who subscribed to us and downloaded the app. The breaking news is at your fingertips. And also, if you want to get involved and help us along in the summer to get bigger, better and stronger and take on the big boys regularly as we do, and all those other people who basically record and copy everything we do, and there's quite a lot of them, why not subscribe to our PLZ Premium and get extra stuff as well. Simple as that. Have a great weekend. The summer is here. The sun is shining. Partsy's going to watch Ayr. Ruffy's going to give him a lift in the car, which means Partsy is going to have to listen for the next 7 minutes about how they beat Celtic in 1971 in the League Cup final. So that's the drawback of getting a lift to the game against Ayr. Thank you for listening and watching.
PLZ Soccer is the #1 digital sports channel in Scotland, and we're offering you the chance to sign up to our exclusive PLZ Premium service.
All our existing content and weekly programmes across all our channels absolutely free of charge. PLZ Premium is offering you exclusive additional content to enjoy.
PLZ Premium offers you exclusive benefits on top of your monthly subscription.
The first 1,000 subscribers will receive a special A4 Legends poster as a PLZ Premium member.
You'll get exclusive video content, including a special Peter Martin Straight Talk 1-to-1 with a legend of the beautiful game.
Every month you'll have exclusive access to ask questions on our special live stream, and you can join us by live video link up.
You also get discounts on official merchandise, early access to tickets for our live events and exclusive behind the scenes footage.
We have a special free draw for premium members with the chance to win a Legends t-shirt.
Come and join the football family and be part of our brand new premium service on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.
PLZ Soccer, delivering you the best coverage of Scottish football. Wherever you are, we are.